Hey there everybody, this is Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you with a pretty cool video tonight. Now over the past couple of months as I've been growing my channel, you've probably heard me talk a bunch about my YouTube mentors. You know, these are the people whose channels that I've been watching for the past few years, and it's really helped develop me, give me a good understanding of what I like, what gear I've purchased. And so this week I happened to stumble into two videos that I think are worth discussing here, and these videos have influenced the video that I'm going to present to you today. Now the two channels that I'm talking about, first is Prepared Mind 101 with Chris Tanner, and the second is The Tactical Show with Tack. What his real name is, who the hell knows? I don't even know what his face looks like. If you've ever seen The Tactical Show, you'll know that guy is a nut. And actually, between him and Chris Tanner, if you were able to go with those guys on a camping trip, it would be completely mental. So I enjoy them. They're very high entertainment value to me. Excellent information, great experience, awesome gear, and definitely a big influence on me. So this video is a shout out to them. And this is my interpretation of what they've been talking about for the past few days. So in response to Canadian Prepper, which is another YouTube channel, Chris Tanner threw out a, I'm not going to say it's a, a contest necessarily, but pretty much was just reaching out to other YouTube video channels and suggesting to them that they put together a video that covered their 10 most important or best survival or prepping items. And I'd like to talk about that today. This is really my first time trying to assemble a video like this, and I thought it would be a good opportunity just to kind of reflect back and ask myself the question, what really is my 10 most important items? What things would I put in a bag, or carry with me, I should say, if I only had 10 items to choose? And so what you're about to see is what I think for me would be the best fit. When it comes to these types of contests, I just told you, I'm new at this. I don't even know what are the rules. So I'm going to make some assumptions here, and I'll explain as I go through this what the assumptions are. But the first thing that comes to mind is you're talking about a survival or prepping situation. Now, where are we? What time of day? What season? Are we in the woods? Is this in an urban environment? There's a lot of factors that go into what you might choose for gear depending on exactly where you are. So I'm building in some assumptions. Maybe we have a situation right now where I need to leave from my house and I'm by myself. Maybe I'm not with my family. And so I have some items that I need to leave with on my own person. I don't have a vehicle. Everything's, who knows, it's some weird doomsday scenario where vehicles don't run, or maybe I don't have mine with me, or something happened and so I need to take off on foot. So that's the first thing that I'm building my assumption on. I'm leaving from my house and I'm going somewhere. To where? I don't know yet, but that's at least where I'm going to start this conversation. Now I'm also assuming for this video that I'm well dressed. I'm assuming that I have the appropriate clothing on and the appropriate footwear. I'm also assuming that I can carry some of the real basic things on my body, like my cell phone or even keys or things like very basic in nature, my wallet, things like that. I'm not talking about carrying any additional tools. I'm not talking about carrying anything beyond the real simple basics that somebody would have, like their credentials, the clothing that they need, something that's appropriate for the time of year. So if right now it's coming into the spring, but it's still a little chilly, I'm assuming that I might have a hat or I might have a jacket on, that I'm wearing appropriate pants and appropriate shoes or boots, something like that. So those are some of the assumptions that I'm building into this scenario. Now I've already established that I get to choose 10 items. The first one that hits my mind, and it's pretty much a no-brainer. If I'm carrying 10 things with me, I need something to put them in. So my first item is going to be a bag. Now in my recent videos, I've started covering some Eberlestock gear. I really like these bags. They're very comfortable and they hold a good amount of gear and they're very durable. So I'm going to pick some sort of an Eberlestock bag, right around the 72-hour bag size, you know, maybe 30 liters, something about that. So, you know, in this particular case, I just have the G1 Little Brother. This doesn't necessarily have to be the bag that I commit to, but for this conversation, this would be the one. And again, just a nice, suitable bag. The other good thing about this is there's plenty of straps and all the molly, so that if I found additional items along the way that would help me in my situation and to get me out of trouble, I could strap it onto the bag or, you know, lash it at any sort of point and hold other items. So first things first, a good quality bag that's going to be comfortable and allow me to do what I need to do with the rest of my gear. Now, the next thing I need to talk about is tools. Tools are going to be key for a few reasons. I mean, obviously, you know, tools can provide you with the ability to prepare for a fire, process wood. It allows you to potentially break into things. Maybe you can break into cars, or maybe you need to get into a building. So a tool would be very useful there. It also provides you with a level of defense. So again, I'm not sure what this prepping or survival situation is, but let's just say there was an aspect of needing to defend yourself. That would be a very important thing, to have a quality tool and quality defense mechanism. So I chose to bring 2 tools. So my next 2 items are tools. First would be some sort of an axe or a hatchet. This is the Gransfors Bruks small forest axe, so tack. I'm with you, man. Sweet choice. The good thing about an axe like this is it also provides an auxiliary tool in a way, which is the hammer face on this axe, which is nice because now you not only have the ability to cut, you do have the ability to also pry, and you also have the ability to smash or hammer. So that is a pretty nice feature when you carry an axe. The other nice thing about an axe, in my opinion, versus maybe a large blade, is that you have a longer reach, which is good if you need this in a defense situation. So I feel like having something like an axe would be a good benefit. Obviously, processing wood is huge, but also all the other benefits of prying into different places or potentially a defense mechanism. Now, if I really had to think this through carefully, maybe I want to consider a tomahawk instead. This is the Cold Steel Spike Hawk. Now, I'm very comfortable with this tool. In fact, I'm learning how to throw it, and I'm getting better. I'm not great. You know, I know some of those guys out there are very versed at throwing tomahawks. If you were taking on We All Juggle Knives and you thought you'd beat him, you'd be in pretty big trouble. So, you know, I'm not going to be taking him on anytime soon in a throwing contest, but you could potentially use this to throw. You also get a nice cutting edge. The other benefit of the Spike Hawk is this spike creates a real nice tearing and ripping tool. So in terms of prying into stuff and really ripping things apart or digging into something that you need to, you could use this to trench something out and dig if you had to. So even though that Gransfors Bruks axe is a beautiful choice, I think from the overall utility perspective, I'm going to settle on this Spike Hawk from Cold Steel. Now, I told you I was going to carry 2 tools. So the first is the Spike Hawk. Second is a nice 6-inch, 7-inch camp knife. This is the ESEE 6. Everybody knows at this point this is my go-to blade. It's totally trusted. I've done everything in the world with this, and I know it's going to make it nice, thick spine, capable of stabbing or prying, doing any sort of cutting feather sticks, batoning a wood, plenty of ability to process down for a fire. And so, you know, this for me is a trusted tool. If I had to leave today, and today was this doomsday scenario that I was prepping or trying to survive, this would come with me. However, in a couple of my prior videos, you know I've been on the hunt to try to replace that blade and find the next one that's going to really give me the confidence that I need in another blade. And the one I'm going to learn on this summer and hopefully gain the respect for is this Tarp's Longhorn Bowie. And so my mind might change if I made this video again in 3 or 4 months and I've had the time with this knife under my belt. Now I've barely started using this. I've only done, actually, of all things, a little cooking with it, and I haven't used this for camp tasks yet, so I can't say for sure that this would be the one that I would pick. But, you know, as of now, if I had to leave today, I would take the SE6, and that's going to be my choice. And now for my next item, this is where the rules kind of get dodgy for me, and I don't really understand it. So if I'm breaking the rules here, guys, please tell me, let me know that this is either a no-no, or let me know if this is okay. But, you know, I firmly believe that if you're going into a situation that's the unknown, you need to start thinking about shelter. Now, could you potentially go out in an urban environment or in the woods or something like that and actually create a shelter for yourself? Yes, of course you could. But you don't know how long it's going to take. You don't know what resources you have available. And if you're really trying to be prepared, I feel like you need to bring something with you. And so here's where my assumptions come into play. I have built myself a nice shelter system out of the DD Hammock Superlight series. It includes both the DD Hammock Jungle Hammock and then also the Superlight Tarp to go over the top. Now I would bring that entire kit if I'm allowed to. I'm assuming I can bring my straps and guy lines and all the stuff that buttons that system down. If the rules permit, that's what I'm going to bring. And you know, if I do watch the videos that some of these other guys are putting out, like for example, I know Chris Tanner wanted to bring a nice tarp. I'm assuming that with that tarp he has a ridge line and guy lines and the actual ability to use it. He's not just going to sit there and wrap himself up in a tarp. So I'm assuming that that thing comes complete. So in that same vein, I'm going to bring myself my DD Hammock system, and that's going to be my shelter option. In a similar fashion to my shelter system, I want to make sure that I have the ability to stay warm. Now, building more assumptions into this scenario, right now we're coming out of winter and into spring, so it is still cold. And so one of the assumptions that I'm building into this scenario is that I'm leaving today. And if I had to leave today, I would need to stay warm. And in order for me to do that, I need some sort of a quality sleeping bag or some sort of blanket, something to really keep me warm. And if I had to leave right now, I would bring my Sea to Summit Micro 3 sleeping bag. Now I'd bring this for a few reasons. First is it has an excellent warmth rating. I want to say it goes down to the low to mid 20s, and so that's Fahrenheit. So low to mid 20s is very excellent, good thermal protection. The other thing about the sleeping bag is it's very light and it can be compressed down into a nice compact size. So it doesn't take up too much space, it's very light, and it provides excellent thermal properties. And so for me, to stay warm at this time of year, I'm going to bring my Micro 3. Now my next two items kind of go hand in hand. Once you get out into a scenario, you don't know what kind of resources you're going to have available, and that goes all the way down to the basics, including the need for water. So for me, I think what I would bring is first a good filter, and second a good pot, because these are items that are basically very difficult, if not impossible, to come across. And so to have something packed up, fully prepared and ready to go, in my mind, is almost essential. So my first choice for a filter is the Survivor Filter Pro. This has excellent micron particulate removal for pathogens, and especially once you start boiling water. At that point, you're going to be removing a lot of impurities and also killing any harmful bacteria that's in the water. And so, along with my filter, my second choice is my 3-quart pot by MSR. Basically, just a plain old 3-quart pot with a lid. Gives me the ability to get water out of a source potentially, along with this filter, which has a pump, which is nice. I can carry water if I need to, at least for a reasonable distance. On top of that, for cooking purposes, and if I had to, I have the ability to use the lid as a frying pan, which you can see I do quite often. But for me, having the ability to deal with water is a must. So my next two items are the filter and a pot. Now my next two items also go hand in hand. Now this is another one where I need to ask you what the rules are, because I don't know. I'm just going to make it up here. The first thing I'll talk about is a good quality power bank. Now, you know, I just have a cheap one. I haven't been able to afford anything better, but this is a significant size battery pack. This is a 16,800 milliamp hour battery pack, capable of charging my cell phone a couple of times or any other electronic device a number of times. And so I'm assuming in this scenario two things. One, that I will have the ability to recharge this potentially on a number of occasions. And two, that I'm able to bring all the cables that I need associated with this to charge the items that I'll have on my person, which may include my cell phone, and also the second item I'm going to talk about, which is on my list, which is a good quality flashlight. This is the Thrunite TN12. And so, assuming that I can recharge this, first off, it needs to leave fully charged. And second, I need the ability to recharge this. So, assuming that I can bring all the appropriate cables for this, this is another one of my choices. So here's two more items that I think are essential for the ability for me to sustain. Obviously, having a good quality light source could come in at critical times for multiple reasons. One, simply to see what you're doing, and two, potential self-defense. So for me, having a good quality flashlight and then also the ability to recharge it is key. And finally, last but not least, a decent ferro rod. Now this is the one I have. It's reasonably cheap, but at the same time it's a good size. I've used this a lot. It throws off good hefty sparks. I mean, for the amount of times that I've used this, I have plenty of meat left. I mean, this is going to be good for hundreds and hundreds of fires. And so versus carrying a lighter, which could potentially get damaged or potentially run out of fluid, or even evaporate or things like that, I think a good ferro rod is totally the way to go. So Chris, I'm with you on this. I think a ferro rod is definitely the ideal solution for fire. And so this is coming with me. There's no doubt about it. All right, so there you have it. So I put away my hammock and also my sleeping bag, but here's the rest of the items kind of laid out in front of you here. You know, to me, these are some of the best items that I own for a lot of reasons. I mean, they're versatile, they're quality, they're comfortable, but most importantly, I'm familiar with them. I use these all the time. I know how they work, and in a situation where everything else is stacked up against you, having a little familiarity is kind of a nice thing. So this is what I got. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'd just like to say thanks a lot to Tack and to Chris from both the Tactical Show and Prepared Mind 101. You know, you guys are real big inspirations to me. I appreciate what you do. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it you know, shows you guys that, you know, us YouTubers out here, we're listening to you and we appreciate what you do. And to everybody else out there, I just want to say thanks a lot for checking out my channel. I appreciate you guys stopping by. If you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.